1. How Achilles and Agamemnon quarreled over Briseis, and how Thetis persuaded Zeus to support her son. An angry man, there is my story. The bitter rancor of Achilles, prince of the house of Pylos, which brought 1,000 troubles upon the Achaean host. Many a strong soul it sent down to Hades, and left the heroes themselves a prey to dogs and carrion birds, while the will of God moved on to fulfillment. It began first of all with a quarrel between my lord King Agamemnon of Atreus' line and the prince Achilles. What god then made the feud between them? Apollo, son of Leto and Zeus. The king had offended him, so he sent a dire pestilence on the camp, and the people perished. Agamemnon had affronted his priest Chryses, when the priest came to the Achaean fleet, bringing a rich treasure to ransom his daughter. He held in his hand a golden staff, twined about with the sacred wreaths of Apollo Shooterfar, and made his petition to the Achaean people in general, but chiefly to the 2 royal princes of Atreus' line. My lords, and you, their subjects, for you I pray that the gods who dwell in Olympus may grant you to sack Priam's city and to have a happy return home. But my dear daughter, set her free, I beseech you, and accept this ransom, and respect Apollo Shooterfar, the son of Zeus. Then all the people said good words, and bade them respect the priest and accept the ransom. But my lord King Agamemnon was not well pleased. He told the priest to be off, and in harsh words too. Don't let me find you here any more, you. Don't stay now, and don't come again, or else your staff and sacred wreaths may not protect you. The woman I will not release. She shall live to old age in our house far away in Argos, working the loom and lying in my bed. Begone now, don't provoke me, or it will be the worse for you. The old man was afraid, and did as he was told. Silent, he passed along the shore of the murmuring sea, and when he came home he prayed earnestly to Apollo, Hear me, Silverbow, thou who dost bestride Chryse and holy Scylla, thou who art the mighty lord of Tenedos. O Sminthus, if I have ever built a temple to thy pleasure, if I have ever burnt for thee fat slices of bulls or of goats, bestow on me this boon. May the Danaans pay for my tears under thy shafts. Famous Apollo heard his prayer. Down from Olympus he strode, angry at heart, carrying bow and quiver. The arrows rattled upon his shoulders as the angry god moved on, looking black as night. He sank upon his heel not far from the ships, and let fly a shaft. Terrible was the twang of the silver bow. First he attacked the mules and dogs. Then he shot his keen arrows at the men, and each hit the mark. Pyres of the dead began to burn up everywhere, and never ceased. 9 days the gods' arrows fell on the camp. On the 10th day Achilles summoned all to a conference. The goddess Hera put this in his mind, for she was distressed to see the Danaans dying. And when they were all gathered together, Achilles rose up and spoke. My lord king, he said, I think we shall seem just foiled adventurers when we get home. If indeed we get off with our lives, now you see war and pestilence allied to beat us. Come then, let us inquire of some prophet or priest, or even a diviner of dreams, for God it seems doth send our dreams, and let him tell us what has made Phoebus Apollo so angry. Does he find fault with us for prayer, or for sacrifice? Does he desire the savor of sheep or goats without blemish, that he may spare us this pestilence? He said his say, and sat down. Then uprose Calchas of Thestor, most excellent diviner of dreams, who knew what is and what will be and what has been in ancient days. He had guided the fleet to Ilios by the divination which Phoebus Apollo had taught him. He spoke to them from an honest heart, and said, "Prince Achilles, whom Zeus delights to honor, you bid me explain the wrath of Lord Apollo Shootaphar. Therefore I will speak. Mark what I say, and swear me an oath that you will defend me with all your might in word and deed. For I think I shall provoke a man who rules all our people, one whom all the people obey. A king, when angry, always can be stronger than a common man. Even if he smothers his anger for the day, yet indeed he keeps a grudge long in his heart until he can pay it off. Consider, then, if you will hold me safe." Achilles answered, "Fear nothing, but speak the word of God which you know. For I swear by Apollo, whom Zeus delights to honor, to whom you pray, Calchas, when you declare God's word to the nation, no man, while I live and see the light, shall lay heavy hands on you in this fleet, none of all the nation, not even if you name Agamemnon, who now claims to be first and best of us all." Then the seer took courage and spoke out. "He finds no fault with us, then, for prayer or sacrifice, but for his priest, whom Agamemnon affronted, when he would not accept a ransom and set his daughter free. For his sake Shootaphar has sent us trouble, and will send. Nor will he stay the noisome pestilence among our people until the king gives back to the father his lovely girl, unbought, unransomed, and sends a solemn sacrifice to Chryse. Then we may trust that the god will be appeased." No sooner had he sat down than up rose my lord King Agamemnon in his majesty. He was displeased. The dark places in his heart were full of resentment. His eyes were like flashing fire, and he began by rating Calchas. "Prophet of evil, you have never had a decent word from me. It is always your delight to prophesy evil, but good you have never said and never done, and now you get up and harangue the people with your oracles. So that is the reason why Shootaphar sends trouble, because of that girl Chryseis, because I would not accept a ransom. But I want to keep her myself and take her home. Why, I like her better than my own wife Clytemnestra. She is just as good in face or figure, brains or fingers. Never mind. I will give her back if that is better. I would rather have the people alive than dead. Only get a prize ready for me at once, or else I shall be the only man in the army without a prize. That is not right. Just look here, all of you, my prize is going away somewhere else." Then Achilles answered, "Your Majesty, gettings are keepings with you, there's no doubt about that. Pray, how will our brave men give you a prize? I do not know of any common store anywhere. What we got from the towns we have taken has been divided, and you cannot expect people to collect it all again in a heap. For the present, then, give the girl up to the god, and we will pay you threefold or fourfold if Zeus ever allows us to sack the proud city of Troy." King Agamemnon answered, "None of that. You may be a great man, Achilles, you may be more than a man, but do not try cheating. You will neither cajole me nor persuade me. Do you want to keep your own prize, and tell me to give up mine and just sit forlorn without any? If our brave men will give me a prize and satisfy me that I get as much as I give, well and good. But if they will not give, then I will take. I'll come to you, or to Ilias, for a prize, or Odysseus, and away I'll go with my gettings. Then it will be his turn to be angry. But we will see about that later. For the time being, let us launch a good ship and find a special crew and put Chryseis on board. And let one of the princes from our council be in charge, Ilias, or Idomeneus, or Prince Odysseus, or yourself, my young friend, you terror of the world. You shall pacify Shootaphar by making sacrifice." Achilles scowled at him and said, "Ha! Greedy heart, shamelessness in royal dress. How could any man be willing to obey you, whether on some errand or in the battlefield? I cared nothing about the Trojans when I came here to fight. They had done nothing to me, never lifted my cattle or horses either, never destroyed my fruit or my harvest in Phthia. Too many hills and forests between us, and roaring seas. No, it was you I came for, shameless man, to give you pleasure, to revenge Menelaus, and you too, dog-face, for the Trojans' wrong. You don't trouble about that, you care nothing for that. And now you threaten to rob me of my prize, which I worked hard to get, which the army gave me. I never get a prize equal to yours if our men capture some town, but most of the hard fighting is done by my hands. Only when sharing time comes, you get most of the good things, and I have a scrap to comfort me. Not much, but all I can get, as I come back tired out with fighting. Now, I will just go home to Phthia, since it is much better to take ship and go, and I don't think I shall fill my hold with riches if I stay here despised. King Agamemnon answered, "Do, go. If that's what you want, go, by all means. I do not sink on my knees and beg you to stay for my sake. I have others in plenty who will honor me, first and foremost Zeus all-wise. I hate you more than any prince on earth, for you are always quarreling and fighting. If you are such a mighty man, God gave you that, I suppose. Go home with your ships and your men, and lord it over your myrmidons, but I care nothing for you. I don't mind if you are in a rage. Now I give you fair warning. Since Apollo robs me of Chryseis, I will send her home with my own ship and crew. But I will take your beautiful Briseis, and I will come for her myself to your quarters, for your prize, to show you how much stronger I am than you are. Then others will take care not to stand up to me and say they are as good as I am." This pierced Achilles to the heart, and he was of two minds, whether he should draw a sword from thigh to push through the crowd and strike down King Agamemnon, or whether he should calm his temper and keep himself in check. As these thoughts went through his mind, and he began to draw the great sword from the sheath, Athena came down from heaven. Queen Hera sent her, loving and anxious at once. She stood behind him and held him back by his long red hair. No other man saw her but Achilles alone. Achilles turned round, startled. At once he knew Pallas Athenaea. His eyes flashed wildly, and he spoke words that winged like arrows to the mark. "Why have you come again, daughter of Zeus invincible? To see the insult of my lord King Agamemnon? I'll tell you what, and I will do it too. His own high-handedness one day may be his death." Athena replied with her bright eyes glinting, "I came to check your passion, if you will listen, and I was sent from heaven by Queen Hera, loving and anxious at once. Come, drop the quarrel. Don't pull out that sword. Just give him a sound rating and tell him what to expect. For I declare to you that this is what will happen. A time will come when you shall have a magnificent offer with 3 times as much offered to make up for this insult. Hold back now and do what I say." Achilles answered, "I must observe the bidding of you both, goddess, angry though I am indeed. It is better so. What the gods command you, do, then the gods will listen to you." So he stayed his heavy hand on the silver hilt, and drove back the sword into the sheath in obedience to Athena. And she returned to Olympus, where Zeus invincible dwells with the company of heaven. But Achilles was angry still. Once more he addressed the king in violent words. "You drunkard, with eyes like a bitch and heart like a fawn! You never arm yourself with your men for battle. You never go out on a raid with the fighting men. No pluck in you for that. You think that's certain death. It is much better, isn't it, to stay in camp and rob anyone who tells the truth to your face. The king feeds on his people, for they are a worthless lot. Or else, my lord, this would be your last outrage. But one thing I will tell you, and take my solemn oath. As truly as this staff will never grow again, never again will put forth leaves and twigs after it has been cut from the stump in the mountain forest, and the axe has scraped off leaves and bark, but now it is held in men's hands, men of judgment who guard the statutes of Zeus. Hear my solemn oath to you. So truly a time shall come when Achilles will be missed by the nation one and all. Then you shall not be able to help them for all your grief, while many are falling and dying before bloodthirsty Hector. Then you shall tear your temper to tatters, that you would not respect the best man of all. As he spoke, Achilles dashed down on the ground the gold-studded staff and took his seat again, while King Agamemnon opposite fumed with rage. But Nestor rose. A famous orator he was, gracious in speech, whose voice ran off his tongue sweeter than honey. He had seen already in Pylos 2 generations of men grow up before him and pass away, and he was king still over the 3rd. He now spoke with an honest heart, and said, "For shame, sirs! Here is a great trouble for the Achaean land. How glad Priam would be, and Priam's sons, how all Troy would be in jubilation if they could only hear you two quarreling. You, the leaders in wisdom and leaders in war. Now listen to me. You are both younger than I am. Nay, more, I have met even better men than you, and they never disregarded me. For never have I seen, and never shall I see, such men as Pirithous and the great ruler Dryas, Caeneus and Exadius and the noble prince Polyphemus. I tell you, those were the mightiest men ever born upon earth, mightiest, I say, and fought against mightiest foes, the monsters of the mountains, whom they horribly destroyed. Yes, those men I knew well. I traveled all the way from distant Pylos to visit them at their own request, and I fought by their side as a volunteer. Those were men whom no mortal now living on earth could fight, and they heard my advice, and took it too. Listen to me, then you also, and take my advice, and you will find it better. You, sir, do not rob this man of the girl, although you are strong. Leave her alone, as the army gave her to him at first for his especial prize. And you, Achilles, do not provoke your king, force against force, for greater honor belongs to a sceptered king when Zeus has given him dignity. If you are a mighty man, if your mother is divine, yet he is above you, for his dominion is greater. Your grace, forget your bitterness, and I beseech Achilles to let his anger pass, for he is the strong tower of our nation against the horrors of war. King Agamemnon answered, "Indeed, sir, all that you say is fair and right. But this man wishes to be above all, to rule everyone, to be king over everyone, to order everyone about. And there is someone who will not obey, I think. If the gods everlasting have set him up as a warrior, does it follow that they have set him on to call ugly names?" Achilles interposed and said, "Yes, for I should be called coward and outcast if I yield to you in everything you choose to say. Lay your commands on others. Don't order me about, for I do not think I shall obey you any more. I tell you one thing, and you will do well to remember it. I will never use my hands to fight for a girl, either with you or with anyone. Those who gave may take away, but you shall never carry off anything else of what I have against my will. Just try and see, that these also may know very soon there will be red blood on the spear point." They finished their bout of hard words and dismissed the assembly. Achilles, with Patroclus and his friends, returned to his quarters. Agamemnon launched a good ship and put on board 20 men with the sacrifice, and brought Chryseis. Odysseus took charge, and they set sail. Then Agamemnon ordered the people to purify themselves. They cast their peace offerings into the sea and slew bulls and goats on the shore to make full sacrifice to Apollo, and the savor went up to heaven through the wreathing smoke. While all this business was going on, Agamemnon did not forget his quarrel with Achilles and the threats he had made. He called his 2 trusty servants, the heralds Talthybius and Eurybates, and gave them his orders. "Go to the quarters of Prince Achilles, take Briseis by the hand, and bring her here. If he will not give her up, I will come with a larger party and take her myself, which will be more unpleasant for him." So he sent his envoys with strict orders. They did not like their errand, but they went along the shore to the place where the Myrmidons had their ships. They found Achilles sitting before his hut, and he was not pleased to see them. They indeed were both afraid and ashamed before the young prince. They only stood and said nothing to him and asked nothing. But he understood what they wanted and spoke. "Heralds, I greet you, for the envoy is held sacred by gods and men. Come here, I find no fault in you, but in Agamemnon, who has sent you for the girl Briseis. Here, Patroclus, my friend, bring out the girl and let them take her away. Let them both be witnesses before the blessed gods and mortal men, and before this hard-hearted king, if ever the people shall need me to stand between them and dire destruction. Indeed, he is mad with fury and cannot look both before and behind, so that his army may live to fight before our camp." Patroclus heard him and brought out the beautiful Briseis and handed her over to the envoys. Then they returned to their ships, and the woman followed them unwillingly. But Achilles burst into tears and went apart from his friends. He threw himself down by the grey salt sea, and gazing over the waters, stretched out his hands, calling loudly to his mother, "Oh, my mother! I was born to die young, it is true, but honor I was to have from Zeus Olympian, thunderer on high.